And just noticed, like 90% of the people that I was flying were in real estate. I kind of go way back because I think it's kind of fun for people to hear, if they're transitioning into the land business, how you could come from sort of really any background. So for me, I was actually a pilot. I was really interested in, traveling and surfing the world. And I heard when I was in high school that, you could actually go and get a free ticket around the world anytime you want if you were flying for the airlines. So, for me, that was in the mid 90s when I started flying. And by the time I was in college, I went to San Diego State. The airlines had really taken a turn. There was September 11th and they just weren't hiring. But I had already gone through and done, the flight ratings that I needed to get. I was a flight instructor at that point and I already had all the time. So by the time I got out of school, the only jobs that were really available then were flying corporate jets. So I started flying corporate jets and I was flying for like individual companies originally. And then I started doing charter. So basically flying for anybody that wanted to, buy a flight somewhere on a private jet. And just noticed, like 90% of the people that I was flying were in real estate. A lot of them were doing real estate development of some sort. And it was more so an observation at that point. I really still had my eye on aviation, but I liked business as well. So fast forward, a couple years down the road, I started working for a developer that built shopping centers. And so they worked with companies like Target and Walmart and Lowe's, and then they would build a whole shopping center around it. But what they would do is they would buy raw land, pre-entitlement, and they basically create a master plan community and get the land entitled, and they'd develop a shopping center as one component of it, and then they'd usually have parcels that they'd sell off for hotels. They do some office space, and then a lot of times they'd put in some sort of residential component, whether it's a single family home subdivision next to it or some multifamily. So just kind of like observe that. And at the same time, I was really good friends with the owner of the company. And he was actually a pilot. So we would talk aviation all the time, and he would sit up in the cockpit half the time just because he was so, engaged with flying. So I kept bugging him on the off days and said, hey, I want to open up a Quiznos or a Subway in one of your shopping centers. And, he kept on kind of going back to me and going, hey, you can make money doing that, but there's actually quite a bit more money if you become the developer, you become the owner of it, and you're renting the space to those guys.